Welcome into Road to the Draft, powered by Microsoft Copilot. In today's episode, senior writer and editor Scott Smith brings you a special edition 2-round mock draft.
Thanks, Casey. Hey everyone, quick question for you. What's keeping us fueled up on this journey down the road to the draft? That's right, it's mock drafts. It's the unlimited resources. There are thousands of them out there. And we get into the Act 2 on Buccaneers.com. Usually that's the typical variety of mock draft where you try to predict each of the 32 picks in the first round. But recently we tried our hands at a different kind of mock draft where both Brianna Dix and I did one of these where you pick every pick the Buccaneers will make through 7 rounds, and you use a mock draft simulator to fill in the picks in between and keep us honest. And we have done that using Pro Football Network's mock draft simulator, and we thought that would be a fun idea for this show, so we ran another one specifically for this show. So let's take a look at what happened. We'll look at these about 5 picks at a time. You see here the first 5 picks. Probably the most surprising one, you don't see Carnell Tate to the Jets very often with all of these potential blue chip defensive picks available, but for the Buccaneers purposes, really doesn't matter a whole lot because Carnell Tate probably goes before 15 anyway, so this is just a matter of what order they go in. And then from 6 to 10, I think what stands out is, again, Jordan Tyson and Mekhi Lemon, 2 more receivers, so all 3 of what are considered the top receivers already off the board in the first 8 picks. That's kind of significant for the Buccaneers because probably not in the market for a wide receiver. You can never tell after last year, so you kind of want to see those guys go early. Then we get to picks 11 to 15, and I think probably the standout to me here is that a couple of tackles go in Caleb Lomu and Francis Maui-Noah from Miami. The Buccaneers are thought by some teams to be in the market for an offensive lineman, but probably a run on tackles is good for the Bucs in terms of pushing some players down to number 15. The Buccaneers are now on the clock, and I can say there are a lot of really attractive options here. I think if it falls this way, the Buccaneers are going to have their pick of several players they would like very much at number 15. Like I said, there's a lot of intriguing prospects still available for the Bucs at pick number 15 at a variety of positions, including ones that the Buccaneers are thought to be looking at. We asked Copilot to come up with some of the best available players still on the board, and it did it so in tiers. Tier 1, best blend of talent and immediate roster fit. You see Jermon McCoy, the first player listed here, a cornerback from Tennessee. The Buccaneers did lose Jamel Dean in free agency. Cornerback is always a position where you're trying to find more talent, so that makes sense. We see Akeem Mesidor, the really high motor, productive, and big defensive end or outside linebacker, edge rusher out of Miami still on the board. Another edge rusher that's been seeing a lot of rise in his draft stock lately, Missouri's Zion Young, another guy with good size and a high motor. And then tier 2 strong fits may depend on how the Bucs weigh needs, probably because the Buccaneers have signed a couple linebackers in free agency. That's why linebacker comes in here in tier 2. You see C.J. Allen of Georgia, just an accomplished player, a guy that covers well, which is something the Buccaneers need. And you see Vega Ioane, a guard from Penn State. Bucs possibly need help on the interior line. And Colton Hood, another cornerback from Tennessee. And then an intriguing one that's popped up a lot lately, Kenyon Sadiq, the really athletic tight end from Oregon, could help to give Baker Mayfield another weapon. And finally, Dylan Thieneman, a safety that everybody really likes in this draft. Buccaneers don't have a huge need at safety, but they have a flexible secondary, so they could probably fit just about anybody in there. So as you can see, there's a lot of options here for the Buccaneers, and what I want you to keep in mind is that mock draft simulator we're using for this exercise does sometimes offer you trades that you can accept or reject. Should the Buccaneers consider that, given all these options here on the board? Okay, so we're back here where we were with the Buccaneers on the clock at number 15, and the mock draft simulator did offer me a trade, and I decided to accept it. The trade was from Philadelphia. The Buccaneers would move down from 15 to 23 and pick up a second-round pick, number 54 in the process. This is a bit of a risk because I'm hoping that some players I like here at 15 are still available at 23, but I think there's enough of them that we have a pretty good shot. So let's see what happened right after that. Philly used that pick to draft Monroe Freeling, the Georgia tackle, and that's a common thing for trade-ups in this draft, are teams trying to move up for the top offensive tackles. And then you see in the next 5 picks, I would point out, of course, here that Jermon McCoy went. That was the #1 projected best available player for the Buccaneers that we just looked at. Another cornerback in Brandon Sissy. And then we get right before the Buccaneers, you see Vega Ioane go, another interior lineman. And this is particularly interesting. Kenyon Sadiq, another player heavily mocked to the Buccaneers who could really help the offense. So now we are here on the clock at 23. I was offered some more trades but decided to stay put, and the pick was Akeem Messidor. So I think our gamble in trading down from 15 to 23 really worked out, because this is a player I would have taken at number 15. We still get him at 23. Really at a position the Buccaneers probably need the most, edge rusher, trying to get more pressure on the quarterback from outside. He's, as we've talked about in previous episodes, Akeem Messidor is a high motor player, plays with intensity on every snap, very productive, and has a whole lot of tools in his toolkit in terms of pass rush moves, and I think the Buccaneers would love to land him there and add him to their edge rush rotation. Okay, now what happened after that? You see through the rest of the first round, a couple guys, C.J. Allen, the Buccaneers might have been interested in. We have a little run on receivers here at the end, another cornerback goes, and then early in the second round, we see a run on cornerbacks with Colton Hood and Avion Terrell, which is a little concerning because I was hoping the Buccaneers could pick up a corner with one of their 2 second-round picks. Now we finish up before the Buccaneers at their own pick at number 46. We see Jacob Rodriguez, a linebacker I think the Buccaneers would be intrigued by, go on at 41. So that's a bit disappointing. I probably would have jumped on him at 46 if available. But with the board that we have it now at number 46, the Buccaneers choose to go with a different linebacker, and that's Anthony Hill of Texas. This is a guy that was very, very productive at Texas, kind of an all-around linebacker, probably very good going downhill close to the line of scrimmage. Could it fit in really well next to Alex Anzalone as your Mike linebacker? After that, only about 7 more picks before the Bucs. An intriguing one here, Zion Young. We talked about him as a nice fit for the Buccaneers. And then we get to 54, and I did manage to still find a cornerback that I think the Buccaneers would be interested in Keontae Scott. Another guy from Miami. I'm not trying to raid the Hurricanes, but that's how it fell out. I think this is a corner that could fit really well into the Buccaneers' versatile defensive back room. And I think as you look at the whole picture, this really paid off well, that even though there was a run on cornerbacks early in the second round, guys like Chris Johnson and Keith Abney, we still were able to get a player at a premium position for the Buccaneers I think that would like quite a bit. So we end up with 3 defensive players in the first 2 rounds in this mock draft.
That's going to do it for us on this edition of Road to the Draft, powered by Copilot. We still got a few episodes left, so we'll see you next time.